People with foot fetishes. I hate people with foot fetishes. Not because of their fetish. In the whole grand scheme of things, it's actually not that bad. But it's because they've infected my mind. Not with a foot fetish, but because every single time that I see, I'm a normal human being, but every single time, I see in like a TV show or an advertisement bare feet, I can't help but think about all the people with foot fetishes, hooting and hollering and cheering that they're seeing some toes. And, it's kind of like, don't think of a pink elephant. Just don't think about how 10% of the population has a foot fetish. Like, how am I supposed to go outside knowing that fact? Knowing they walk among us? I mean, this is really just coming from the fact that I feel like I've watched so many, like, Tarantino clips from his movies, or, like, some clip of a streamer or some TikTok, and someone's got their toes out. I think nothing of it. And all the comments are saying, for free? Or, like, saying how being barefoot is vital to the plot. That's really where this all started. I guess I'm just jealous that you all have a community that I can't really be a part of, I don't really relate to. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's where my frustration comes from. Anyway, so there's this band that I listen to. They're Japanese, but they have songs in English. But the English, you can tell this is second language, which is fine. But there's a lyric, and she sings the line, "I was teenage girl." And you might be thinking, oh, like, that's not that bad of a grammar mistake. You're just missing an A. I mean, that's pretty, you can understand. Except when you realize, like, the singer is not a girl, it's a guy. And he is singing, "I was teenage girl," like, over and over again. That's like the chorus of the song. And I don't know what that means. I really don't. I was thinking about that. I was also thinking about history. If you ever look back at history and you see, like, you look back at history and the total disregard for human life, for your own life, is just, there's just no regard for your own life. It becomes very funny. Like, there's like stories of the like Germanic tribes fighting the Romans, and there were guys that their entire job was to get high on mushrooms and charge the Roman legions, and they would just get killed. But that was supposed to be like rallying the troops, like, we're so brave. I'm just gonna throw my one human life into a wall of shields and swords. I think that's kind of like you couldn't. People nowadays would not, like, they were just built different back then, I guess. I guess they were also high on mushrooms. That probably did help. David Goggins, like, that guy, he's super famous for being like long distance runner, like, guy who does a bunch of physical stuff. And he's also really famous for completely fucking up his legs. Like, he has like no knees, like no cartilage in his knees or whatever. And he's just like completely ruined his legs, like had to have a bunch of surgeries. But like, in one perspective, is that like really dumb to do? To like, you ran so much you have fucked up your legs? But on the other hand, it's kind of like he just overrid. Like, his brain, his brain was surely telling him, like, we gotta stop. Like, we Like, I'm not feeling good. And, like, he, just through willpower, he completely overrid that. It's like how in Linux, you can delete the bootloader, which is like, you can delete the program that makes your computer turn on, so then you can't turn it on anymore. That's ultimate freedom. The Linux thing, not the ruining your legs thing. But speaking about people with too much freedom, who wants to go to space? Probably a lot of people. I think a lot of people do. Like, if you could guarantee that it's safe, they would. I think most people would want to go to space. But then, who wants to take a shit in a diaper? Probably less people. Well, I mean, there's like a subset of people that they're probably into that. But, I think we should probably not let those people up into space. But, like the problem of what do you do? The space toilets are not locked down. We haven't like perfected the space toilet at all. There's stories, I've watched a couple interviews, and, it's something you have to train to use. Like, once you hear you have to train to use a toilet, what? That becomes a lot less fun. I think that kind of ruins the vibe of being a cool explorer, like, off in the frontier of space. But you have to, you spend an hour a day before your mission training to shit in a toilet. And if I remember correctly, like, on the space station, the toilet, if you're going up there expecting like a porcelain throne, that's gonna be a wave of disappointment when you open that bathroom door. Because from what I understand, it's like a little like hole with like a little bit of suction, a little bit of because there's no gravity. If you just let nature take its course and shat into the space, into the 0G space station, I mean, that's mission ruining. That is, if I'm like 6 months into a space voyage on my way to Saturn, and my crewmate, he just can't hold it. He just can't anymore. And he shits, and you got like multiple turds, have left his body, and they're floating in space, and they're getting around all the controls. Like, how many Clorox wipes are you taking, to Saturn? Like, probably not enough to clean up like diarrhea in the space station. And you'd have to call back to Houston, and you call back and you're like, hey, like, we have a problem, we have a major problem. And the guy on the other side, they're like, what? Like, did something malfunction? Like, we triple checked everything. Like, yeah, Bob, I don't know what was in the taco seasoning, but maybe the freeze dry process fucked it up. But he, there's shit everywhere. And I don't want to touch the controls. And it's a little bit of an awkward situation now. Like, that would be mission ruining.